Hello everybody, I'm here today to play some more TF2. Yes, I have returned because I promised you an engineer tutorial, and here it is, how to play as the engineer. Engineer is by and most far the most technical class in the game. He is the class where you have to think by far the most, which is actually a good reflection for the character, because the engineer's character is a very smart man, which is weird how each character is like a reflection of how you play them, because engineer's smart, you know, spy's smart, medic's smart, but like heavies are dumb and so are soldiers, because soldiers, when you get past rocket jumping and all that stuff, it's a very simple class to play, as well as heavies. Anyway, I'm dilly-dallying and I'm talking about things that aren't really that important. I'm going to go on to my first piece of advice. My first piece of advice I'm going to give is try and be as ambitious as you can with your sentry placements. Now, sentry placements can stop a card in its tracks, or it could do absolutely nothing depending on where it is and what level it's at. So, the more ambitious you are with your placement, the better. Of course, you can't go overkill. It's almost a balance. It's almost a synergy, because you can't go overkill and you can't go completely over the edge, or you'll get it destroyed immediately. You have to pick a nice middle ground where it's not going to get destroyed by the team immediately, but you're still going to be able to kill enemies and you're still going to be well in their face. This placement I have now is a very good example of that, because I'm behind a rock, so it's impossible for anyone in the main entrance to actually hit me. But apart from that, I'm still hitting the side entrance, so if anyone attempts the side entrance, they get killed immediately. The thing with engineer is, the better you get at it, the less you'll have to think about good placements, because you just know where the places are, and you'll know which one's out of the way and which one isn't. For example, this one is a lot more out of the way, but even apart from that, you know the cart's gonna eventually hit that point, and you're gonna get a lot of kills, because they're gonna have to get across you to get the cart. Which is why, in the second run, I get a lot of kills. Some people actually underestimate the sheer power that a dispenser has by itself, because one engineer can just completely stop a team, no bother whatsoever, especially like this example, if there's a dispenser backing up the guy behind him. Which is still along the lines of placement. My second piece of advice is plan ahead. What I mean by thinking ahead is that if I put my sentry on that main entrance to the left, I would have been killed by at least 3 or 4 demo men by now, or that heavy, or that spy. It's because I put it way more to the left so that it's actually out of the way to the side entrance that I actually managed to get away with it. What I was doing when I picked this spot was that I knew that door was there, and I knew demos always know there's a sentry there, and they always pop their tubes down there. Of course, eventually a demo did get me, but it took him a while to get the aim right and to push up, and I'm pretty sure I killed that guy 2 times over just for him to go around and pick demo and kill me. So I consider that a victory, because honestly, engineer's biggest use is, especially in payload maps, is to have your sentries slow them down as much as possible. There's a lot of classes that are scared of taking on sentries, so if you put one near the cart, people are going to be afraid to go onto the cart unless they're ubercharged. And it takes a while for them to get ubercharged, so you can be there for quite a while. My third piece of advice, which is basically in regard to engineers' one kryptonite, which is spies. Spies can destroy their day. The one thing engineers are terrified of are spies, because any good spy, if engineers make one bad sentry placement, they can basically get backstabbed, have their level 3 sentry sapped, have their teleporter sapped, and then have their dispenser sapped, which is like a nightmare for the engineer. So, in light of that, spy check everyone, okay? It doesn't matter who it is. The spy could be a demo, the spy could be a soldier, the spy could be a sniper, the spy could be your grandmother offering you cookies. Those spies are crafty, and you have to be able to spot them out. Engineers seem like such a flawless class apart from the amount of spy abuse they receive. When you're a spy, your biggest target is an engineer. And my biggest plan to counteract these spies is my wrench. My wrench is, in my opinion, the best wrench in the game, which is the Southern Hospitality. The bleed rate makes it so that if you actually hit someone who isn't on your team, they start bleeding, even if they're disguised. So if you hit any sort of enemy randomly and they start bleeding, that means they're a spy, and you can finish them off easily. To make it even better, they're dying slowly and they know you know they're a spy, and there's not much they can do about it. Spy checking is huge for an engineer. Like, you have to keep turning around and checking anyone who passes your sentry and hit them with your wrench, just to make sure they're not a spy, because spies are a dangerous enemy of the engineer, and 90% of the time getting sapped is the reason why a sentry nest is destroyed. Sometimes demos manage to find a good spot to get their pipes in, but usually but 90% of the time, it's... My next piece of advice is in regard to teleporters and dispensers. Teleporters have to be as far away from the spawn as possible. It annoys me when engineers put down teleporters like right beside the spawn in their sentry nest. It's alright if a sentry nest near the spawn, especially if the cart's nearby, but it's not alright to have a teleporter there. There is no use for a teleporter right beside the spawn. The idea behind a teleporter is to get as far away from the spawn as possible, which is why when you're being an offensive engineer, you have to keep pushing forward and pushing forward and pushing forward, and then when the deadlock happens, which it eventually will, then you stick down your teleporter and just try and hit it in for the long haul. In light of dispensers, there's two places where dispensers really shine. One is beside the faraway teleporter, especially level 3, because if someone comes to the teleporter and they've a dispenser right there, they're going to come back for it. If there's a firefight coming out outside the room, they're going to go out, get injured, come back in, use the dispenser. It's like a cycle, and it keeps them alive almost as much as a medic does. The other placement where it's amazing is beside your sentry, beside you. Because the place where most new engineers fall against normal enemies is because they don't put down a dispenser and they just have them and a sentry. Because eventually, firstly, you're going to run out of scrap. That's a big thing. And secondly, you're going to run out of health. You're going to run out of health a lot faster than the sentry will, especially if you're healing it. So, in light of that, you have to keep yourself alive. And the dispenser behind you, constantly healing you, will keep you alive for a very long time and makes it a lot easier for sentry nests to survive. I never say it for classes that you should just play a lot, but in this case, you should just practice as much as you can with the engineer. Because the more you play as the engineer, the more spots you notice, the more you have an eye for it, and the more places you can build sentry nests. So you should try and build practice and try and gain an eye for just good sentry spots, spy checking, the like of that. But anyway, the last piece of advice, as usual, is to have fun, because engineer is one of the most fun classes in the game, in my opinion, because when a sentry nest is well placed and things tend to click together, like your dispenser keeps you alive and anyone who comes in probably dies immediately, and that's very fun. Just getting a lot of kills and people not being able to destroy your sentry nests, and that's one of the most fun experiences in TF2. Anyway, that's it. If you liked what you saw, I'll see you guys next time. If you didn't like what you saw, then I won't see you guys next time. Feel free to like and subscribe. Bye.